Someone has knocked on our door this evening and stepped across the threshold as one of our house guests. He's now crossing over from the normal world into our haunted house. Welcome to the Looks Creepy Cool podcast, part of Haunted House FearFest. I'm your host, Renee, and tonight I'm joined by Charles F. Davis, director and writer for the nominated horror short Where Were You When? That will be showing at the Haunted House FearFest Festival from October 6th to November 6th. Together, we'll wander room by room through the haunted house and uncover what makes his film so creepy cool. Let's step inside. Hi, Charles. How are you on this evening? Oh, Charles is having, there he is. I can hear him now.
There we go.
That's okay. It's guys,
Perfect.
this house, this haunted house, sometimes with some guests, the mic doesn't work. It does. The haunted house likes to play tricks on us. So that's okay, Charles.
Thank you so much for your understanding. I'm very
Yeah, no, this is exciting. So just to give everyone just how this will go, I'm gonna interview Charles in terms of taking him from different rooms of the house. This is a haunted house, so we're gonna start off with the creepy kitchen, where he'll share with us what he's creating now and what's his ingredient of fear. We'll talk about his film. The Library of Shadows, where he'll discuss what inspired him to get into horror and filmmaking. The Mirror Room, which will reflect on his horror origin story. The basement brief, well, maybe he can reveal some industry secrets or lessons. The attic call and what's pulling him forward. And the final room, where every guest ends up, is they share their creepiest moment and their coolest moment. But remember, some rooms they may not get to, or some rooms the house just pulls them in another direction. So that's why we are going to dive right in. So, Charles, you entered it in the festival, and I watched it along with other panels watched it. It's like about a 4-minute film, and it's so short, but it was like so amazing in a way that it was just like so creepy and so cool. Guys, just to give you a bit of a background or a description of it. Where Were You When is based on the Bell Witch haunting of 1817, which I'm dying to know more of, and associated folklore, set against the backdrop of a modern day college sorority. The story is told from the perspective of Elizabeth Bell, a descendant of the once haunted Bell family, who experiences the hauntings return as she struggles to navigate the social hierarchy of college life. On the night of her induction as a member of the sorority she's pledging, the spirit of the Bell Witch, who plagued her ancestors centuries prior, reveals herself in Elizabeth's midst to inflict terror again. Oh my gosh. So let's start with the folklore. Let's start like how you came about in making this film. I'll let you have it. And I'm going to put us in the creepy kitchen to start. I gave a description of your film, the synopsis and everything. So tell us about the folklore, how this film came about. I'm dying to know about the folklore if you can talk about that. It's just so cool.
absolutely. I'd love to. So the project came about. I'm currently a senior at the Savannah College of Art and Design, and this was a project I created my junior year. And so the situation was we were given the parameters of the assignment and told to go crazy within them. And one of the parameters was the runtime. It needed to be between 3 to 5 minutes. And so I kind of took it on as a personal challenge to find something that I could allude to within that time frame that was actually a much bigger story. And here in the Southeast at SCAD, there are a lot of spooky stories to pick from locally. And so I'm really interested in Southern Gothic horror, and I'm really interested in spooky things that have truly happened, documented perhaps far into the past, like this one. And so the lore of the Bell Witch is something that is a big deal here in the Southeast, especially in Tennessee, where it hails from. There was one of the earliest documentations of a poltergeist. And of course, given the time frame in which it happened, this entity, this idea was given so many names, and there's so much fascinating documentation written by people in the local community in Tennessee who went and testified to seeing these strange, unexplainable occurrences. And so I was really interested in bringing that idea to the present, that this thing that has perhaps laid dormant for all these decades could come back and strike again and afflict a member of this bloodline that it targeted all those years ago for some reason.
Wow. I mean, you pack so much in like about 4 minutes. So, like, can you walk us through the eyes of Elizabeth Bell, like in the scene? Like, she's in the sorority and, they do the hazing, or, hazing a certain way because it was so short. But like, tell us about it, like, in her eyes.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
goal with what we did see, I hope to explain the dynamic between her and the other members of these sororities. She's the underdog. She's the one who's yet to be accepted but desperately wants to be. And it just so happens that during this hokey sort of ritual that they're enacting, because they know who she is and that she's a member of the family who's the subject of this local legend, it's supposed to be something that's all fun and games, and then it isn't. And so from her perspective, this is something that she's heard about her whole life. People have teased her about it. It's a family legend that's been passed down through the generations. And so this is just another installment in the series of hearing about it for Elizabeth Bell. And then suddenly these things start occurring. She's in the closet. She hears these sounds. She hears indications of distress from the girls outside that she's pretty sure aren't part of the gag. And so she goes out to investigate herself and finds that one of the girls has been possessed by the Bell Witch and who is now embodying her friend. And so that last look of surprise is kind of her realization that this legend that she perhaps doesn't even believe is in fact real and in front of her in this moment.
So was anyone in the cast, like, nervous about, like, bringing this folklore kind of to life in a way? Because you hear so many things, like, even, like, remember the have you seen, like, the original, like, Poltergeist movies and how they use, like, real skeletons and, like, crazy things happen on set and stuff like that? So like, human skeletons, I should say. So was anyone, A, scared that something creepy might happen, or B, did something creepy happen on set?
A, we didn't have anybody who was afraid. One of the cool things about SCAD as a horror creator
Mhm.
is that there are a lot of people here, not only in the school, but in the community here in Savannah, who very much enjoy the spooky and spooky adjacent things. And so we were fortunate to have a cast and crew who are all very excited to explore this lore with us. But to answer B, everybody to a person on our crew and in our cast commented on the ambiance of the house that we'd rented to do this. It seemed like it
What?
was in the perfect place. The neighborhood was eerily quiet. And even us in there with a film crew,
Yeah.
just it felt like perhaps a spirit had been enacted to aid us with the completion of it.
Oh my god.
And a few of us were staying in the house overnight. And it never stopped being creepy. And then the next morning when we're packing the gear up and leaving, totally just a house. But we shot it over the course of one very long night. And throughout that entire time, there was a pretty welcome feeling in the air.
Mike, what do you mean welcome feeling in the air?
Well, because we're here for it, in a way, we're enacting our own sort of ritual by even doing this. At least I thought maybe nobody else was quite that invested in it as
My
me.
gosh.
But I think the spirit of it was pretty felt and captured, and I hope that we were able to put that together and capture it in the finished product as
I'm
well.
I mean, you did. Like, even like, I watched, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what is this folklore?" Because 'Cause I'm amazed by it. Like, I'm always intrigued by different folklores, like, around the country and even around the world. So, now that we're in the Library of Shadows, like, were there parts of the original Bell Witch tale that haunted you while you were writing the script? Or no, you're just like, "I ain't scared. I'm gonna write about you, and I don't care what happens because nothing's gonna happen," you know?
Well, I think it's more relishing the fear for me than rejecting it or pretending it doesn't exist. I approach horror media and these stories and the origins of them with what I would describe as a very passionate curiosity, from films and books and fiction to the actual accounts of the paranormal and the supernatural and the spiritual. I'm endlessly curious when it comes to these subjects. And so exploring the lore, there's nothing that I love to do more than learning about these things and seeing if there's an opportunity to add to the lore, to inform more people about it through my work and work that I'm able to collaborate with others on. And so I definitely I think I attached to the story because, like you, there was something in it that was just so fascinating to me. And there have been so many films in this spirit about this story, so many books written about it. You really, you can never get tired of it or run out of material to study for sure.
I mean, it's also creepy too. Are there any others that you can think of off the top of your head that are just, like, probably even creepier than this one?
Ooh, even creepier.
Or maybe on the same level?
Maybe on the same level. There's a book that was published at least locally called Haunted Savannah, and it's an anthology of these short stories that have been passed down orally over the generations, and somebody took them and transcribed them. I can't remember the author off the top of my head, but there are so many here in Savannah with it being a port city, so many tales of ghost ships and the yellow fever pandemic was a huge impactor to Savannah, and so there are a lot of things about that, and a lot of Creole culture from Louisiana made its way over here, and so
Yeah.
I've really been fascinated in learning more about that too. But I would say that definitely the Southern Gothic aesthetic and the lores attached to the Southeast specifically intrigue me most.
Wow. So are there that reminds me of the film with what's her name? Yeah, Kate Hudson and, oh, like, she was taking care of this old lady, but, like, the house was, like, haunted, but really it was, like, ancestors. Oh, why am I blanking on the name? I'm gonna think of it, but it just came to me, and I can't remember what it is. Are there any movies, like, similar to the movie that you wrote and directed? Any movies that, like, resonated with you given this folklore background?
Yes, though it's a very different part of America,
Mhm.
with it being based on something that occurred in a distant past. Robert Eggers' The Witch was a huge influence
Oh,
on me. I love the way that he
yeah.
captured horror in a very, what we've come to view in America as a very non-traditional format,
Mhm.
the total absence of jump scares, the very slow burn that's at the same time entrancing all the way through. I definitely aspire to that vibe in creating.
Wow. Well, oh, Googled it now, The Skeleton Key. That was the movie.
Yes. Oh, I don't
Yes.
know how I didn't think of it as soon as you said Kate Hudson. Yes.
Yeah.
Classic. Very
Yeah.
classic. Yeah.
I couldn't believe the ending. Spoiler alert. I couldn't believe the
Yeah.
ending with, like, like, the ancestors, like, they were slaves, and then, with the I would say magic, let's just say magic that they did, and it was just very creepy. Yeah, it was the skeleton key. Wow, this is so amazing because, like, I've interviewed a lot of filmmakers so far, and, like, you're the first person in terms of invoking folklore into your film, and it's just amazing, like, the rich history or knowledge that you have in folklore, and you read it and you're not scared. You're like, "Oh, what's the next book?" That's what it seems like to me. It would take me a while to move on to the next book or probably get through the whole book in time. Like, I would need more than probably a month.
Yeah. Yeah. For digestion alone, I completely
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, I know. So now we're in the basement stairs, and this is where, I wanna ask you, like, any of, like, obstacles or, like, just with any film, like, budgets, like, anything that really, like, was a huge obstacle for you or you really had to, like, dig deep in order to finish because even though it's short, it's a lot that happens in this short film. So anything that you can share?
I would say that that our greatest obstacle was time, with it being a school assignment. And this class here at SCAD, it's called directing the narrative, and it's sort of considered a warm up to for students who plan to direct for their senior thesis. And part of the boot camp of it, if you will, is turning a film around in a very short period of time, and that's in pre-production, production, and post. When it comes to rehearsal, just as a contrasting example, my thesis film, we're wrapping up post on that now, and I've been working on that for the past 9 months. And ever since we wrapped this, and this was turned around in about 5 weeks from blank page to finished film,
Wow.
and just getting to know the actors and getting everybody connected with the material, all of that is always really important to me in the lead up, because I feel that it really informs the execution of the project. And the definitely, I would say the most carefree part was the actual shoot, because
Really?
thankfully everybody did make time and we were very well prepared, and it was quite the Halloween party in there, all of us in that house.
Well, so what
Halloween in March.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say Halloween and wow, I love well, March is my birthday month. I mean, that's like music to my ears. That's great.
Nice.
That how did, like, you're a student, so is there anything that you like, advice that you can share with other students who are, like, struggling with creativity or struggling to find, like, how do you get into that creative mode? And, like, what advice can you share with, like, other students and also other young filmmakers? Because I know, like, for me, I listen to certain types of music to get me in the zone and certain stuff. Is there anything that gets you in the zone, and what advice can you give?
That's a great one. I love music, and I've heard so many people talk about how music helps them write to a specific mood. For me, the best advice I can give is to write your what you might consider the strangest elements of yourself. I think when I first started making projects, I was really in the habit of trying to make what I thought would be popular or what I thought professors or my peers were looking for or would validate. I've had the best results when I've just gotten out there and written down and then shot my strangest thoughts. And so
Wow.
I think those things that make us who we are the most interesting things for people to watch because only you can make it. And I
Yeah.
believe that everybody has something that makes them truly unique. And so if you can really find that and identify with it and put that onto the page and then onto the screen, I think that's your best bet.
Wow, that's I mean, that's powerful advice. That's really good advice. And we're still on the basement stairs, but I have this segment in the basement stairs because you have to leave the basement stairs and we're going to enter the lightning round here. So you can get up those stairs and try to get to the next room. So, if the Bell Witch showed up at a college party, what drink would she order?
Ooh, rum and coke.
What rum and coke. Wait, sorry. Why rum and coke? Is that your drink?
Oftentimes it is. Oftentimes, and the Bell Witch and I are quite close these days, you know. So I can't say for sure that I don't know that that would be her answer from experience.
Right. Right. Man, that's funny. Okay. So, one word that describes Elizabeth Bell.
Tenacious.
What's scarier, supernatural curses or real life college hazing?
Ooh, I would say supernatural curses, but by a very small margin.
Okay. If the Bell Witch could text in 2025, what would her text message say?
Ooh, I'll see you next time.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
Maybe
one.
another 150 years or so.
Yeah. That's a good one. And you're almost up the stairs. So the last question is, what three words do you want audiences to feel after watching your film?
Ooh, excitement, tension, and curiosity.
Hey. Well, I felt all those when I watched your film, so that's awesome.
Terrific to know. Thank you.
Yeah. This is the room where I ask my guests what's pulling them forward. So, I know you're wrapping up your thesis, you said, or you wrapped it up, and, what's pushing you forward, and then you're going to graduate soon. What's propelling you on your next thing, and what's getting your creative juices going to like really fulfill your dreams even further than what you've accomplished so far?
Well, that's a terrific question. I would pick up the phone for that any day.
Even in the attic, the old dusty
Even in
attic?
the attic. Well, we've established that I would probably enter the attic by choice
Yeah,
any day. So
right.
my thesis my thesis film draws on a more recent what I deem to be folklore and very interesting. It's called LeVay, and it's a screen life film and that follows a as a rising social media influencer who partners with an emerging fashion brand that has
Lord.
sort of a dark satanic imagery to it, but is
Wow.
apparently benign. And over the course of the film, we see her and her followers become more and more controlled by this entity through the display and purchase and wearing of these materials. And it's set in New York City. We shot there this past summer, and it makes its way back to Savannah by the end of the film. But I'm really, really excited to roll that out towards the end of this month. And the distribution plan for that is to send a wide version to festivals and release a vertical version online. And it's also going to be broken up episodically so that it looks like Sam, our protagonist, posts on her social media platforms. And so we'll be rolling that out soon. And that's actually as far as I graduate in November. And this project, LeVay, is spearheading an anthology that I'm going to be producing over the course of next year. So that's what's really getting my juices flowing, is finishing this film and then finishing up the other parts of that anthology next year.
Wow, you are busy.
Very.
Yeah, you are busy.
Yeah, that'll be on TikTok and Instagram, the episodic installments, and hopefully we'll get it seen as many places as we can throughout 2026.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what people think, and I definitely will be eager to hear what you have to say
Yeah.
about it.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so cool. So cool. All right. So we're in the attic call. I want to go to the secret passage. It's very hard to get to here. So, one of the things to go back to your films, Elizabeth, right? The main character, and she, her family with the folklore, descendants of her family, and basically about like the haunting and the folklore and stuff like that. So, if Elizabeth could leave a message for her future descendants, what would she write on the wall of the secret passage?
I think she would write, "Please leave now,"
Really?
and hope that they do so with urgency.
My god, but in a typical horror movie, the person would be like, "Why? Why should I leave now?"
I know, and I think she would be looking on, respecting the inevitability of that, but at least saying, "I tried."
Yeah. Is there any, like, I guess, secrets that you could share, like, through your filmmaking that really helped you? I know we talked about the writing and everything else, but any, like, or do you prefer to keep it a secret in your locked box?
No, I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of unlocking the box, because
Okay.
what has helped me the most has been people unlocking their own. And so in that way, I've had amazing mentors throughout my time making films and in this endeavor. My professors here at SCAD, I've had a great mentor and a director named Jeff Stevenson, who is my earliest film mentor and watches all my projects, reads everything that I write tirelessly. And that's always been the greatest help to me. So definitely, if you can find a mentor who has a level of knowledge that you aspire to maybe one day achieve half of, that can be the best
Wow.
way forward.
Wow, that's so cool. Do you see yourself staying in Savannah after you graduate, or you see yourself moving somewhere else, or
I'm planning to move to Atlanta in
okay,
January,
okay.
and I think I'll continue to be based probably halfway in Savannah and half in Atlanta.
Nice.
The Georgia filmmaking community is very rich, and I intend to remain a part of it as long as they'll have me.
Wow, and I hear that a lot in Atlanta, like, it's really rich, and it's very, like, there's a more opportunity, it seems like, in Atlanta and actually Georgia, so
Absolutely, and I've lived in Los Angeles in the past, and I love it. I love LA, and I'm a huge fan of New York,
yeah.
but as far but Georgia is it's very uniquely inclusive, I feel,
Mhm.
to getting started as a grassroots filmmaker. In my experience, the community here is very welcoming and excited to see new people making films, and that's an energy that I'm really proud and grateful to be a part of.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we're about to enter the final room. And here you share with us and the house what is the most creepiest thing that's ever happened to you moment, and what's the coolest thing that's ever happened to you?
Excellent. For creepy, there was one night in St. Augustine, Florida, and these two things occurred during the same night. So I'm going to batch them together if that's okay.
That's
I got two for the
fine.
price of
So
one.
one, yeah.
I was taking a walking ghost tour of St. Augustine for probably the 12th time or
Oh
so.
my god.
And as we passed the big fort downtown, there was a figure on the top of it. And at first I assumed like, oh, somebody's security or a maintenance person or something. But I looked to the person next to me and asked if they could see them too. And when I looked back, the figure was gone. And this
What?
was in such a split second that this stoic person was standing on top of this fort and then no trace of them.
Was this at night or during the
It
day?
was very late at night, probably 11 or midnight or so
Oh.
when we were taking this walking tour. It was a terrific tour.
And there was no
Highly recommend.
and there was no drinking on the walking tour or anything like that? Like, you were
Not
pure,
this
like
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not this one. Yeah.
No. No, no drinking on the walking tour. I don't believe I was drinking age yet during this story, but I got back to maybe I was, because the next part of the story, I was staying in an Airbnb alone.
Okay.
So I returned to my Airbnb that night,
Okay.
also drink free, and the place is a total mess. I'm staying there alone. I go to bed. I wake up, and everything, I'd had the do not disturb on the door and everything. Everything that I had left on the floor was very neatly organized. And I'm a very light sleeper. I'm confident that nobody bypassed the do not disturb on the door and then didn't wake me up as they were cleaning up my things. So those two together, that was my special supernatural St. Augustine trip, the mysterious room cleaning and the figure on the fort.
Do you think maybe it was the owner of the Airbnb that snuck in, or no?
Ooh, different kind of horror, but I really don't
Yeah.
think so. No.
That's
Yeah, I really
That's
yeah.
creepy. Wait, so what did you do the next morning? Did you high-ticket it out of there?
I was due to, I checked out. I did not tell anybody. And this Airbnb, it was like it was like a large house. And the rooms were sectioned off, so it wasn't like I was just in somebody's house and in a bedroom. This was my own
Okay.
place with a key card and everything. And so I just kind of checked
Yeah.
out and went home. But I've held on to that one forever.
So you're like, "Doo doo doo, someone cleaned up my stuff. Okay, I'll just pack and go home, and that's it." Doo doo. I would have been scared out of my I was been scared shitless. I'm gonna say that. I would have been like, "What the hell? I am out of here." Probably would have pissed in my pants or something. That's creepy.
Super
Oh
creepy.
my
It was creepy.
gosh. Wow. So what's the coolest thing that's ever happened to you?
I would say the coolest thing is pretty cumulative, but it's been discovering the ability to create horror media, because it's brought me so much joy and introduced me to so many amazing people from such disparate backgrounds, and to be able to cross collaborate and create things alongside people, everybody from those we make films with to festivals and the people who run them, just the conventions. It's such a family, such a very large and special family. So I would say that finding my place in the world amongst that family has been the coolest thing that's ever happened.
Man, that's amazing. That's such a great note to end off of. Well, Charles has escaped the house. He left the house with everything that he brought in, and we're so happy to have him. And Charles's movie will be featured in I have the bundle it's featured in. Where Were You When is featured in the Basement Stairs Horror Shorts bundle. Tickets just starting at $6. And it's from October 6th to November 6th. You guys have to check it out. And Charles, anything you want to share with the audience, like where they can find you? Anything you want to, floor is all yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find me all over socials and the internet with CF Davis Film on Instagram, TikTok, and my personal portfolio site is cfdavisfilm.com. And beyond that, I just want to thank you so much for having me and having our film and hosting such an amazing festival and podcast. This has been such a cool experience, and I can't wait to tune in.
Thank you so much. And I'm just getting started. It's my third year owning it. The festival's been around for a bit, but not on this level. I rebranded it and make it more, more social handles. I want to make it more virtual, and it's unlike any other festival. So it's a whole new vibe. So thank you so much on this journey. And thanks, guys. Have a great night and see you next time at the house. Want more chills and chatter? We're streaming on all podcast platforms.